Welcome to Local 4 Live, everybody. We have a lot to talk about in the next 2 hours. The holidays are here, and so are holiday scams. We're going to talk with the AARP Fraud Network to help you stay safe. And then we're breaking down the push for a state-of-the-art practice facility for the WNBA in Detroit and how it's going to help young athletes. And finally, the fight over data centers in Michigan. We're going to take a deep dive into what they are and why they're growing here in Michigan.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And thank you so much for joining us for Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. We're going to start with the virus outbreak in a Wayne County school. Wilson Middle School in Wyandotte is closed after a suspected norovirus outbreak. Students got sick during lunch, but officials say the food is unlikely to blame. The school will be thoroughly disinfected with bleach. That's the only cleaner that works against norovirus. The district is removing turkey from menus just in case. Norovirus is highly contagious. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea and can last a few days. Doctors say the bug is spreading in nearby counties, with some cases causing dehydration in kids and older adults. A man is headed to federal court today to be formally charged in connection to a 2021 Westland bowling alley shooting. We brought you this as breaking news yesterday morning when the FBI was raiding and searching Gregory Powell's Dearborn home. Powell, who was previously sentenced for attempted murder, is now facing federal charges for possessing ammunition as a felon. Authorities say they, say they linked him to the shooting through video footage and evidence found at the scene. Powell will be in court at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Let's take a live look at the Capitol now. The bill to force the Justice Department to release all records related to Jeffrey Epstein has passed the House and the Senate. So now it's heading to the president's desk. As Alice Barr reports, the president says he will sign it, but it's not clear what happens after that.
Good morning. This is a moment survivors of Epstein's abuse have been waiting years to see, hoping to force into the open who else was involved in his crimes. And once the vote finally arrived in the Capitol, lawmakers rushed to show their support for long-delayed transparency. After decades of delays, a final sprint toward accountability, with the bill to force the release of the Justice Department's Epstein files headed to President Trump's desk after sailing through the House and Senate. Survivors of the notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's abuse cheering Senate passage at a candlelight vigil.
The power of being heard and being recognized and being validated is incredibly healing.
Across both chambers, only one member, a Republican, voted no after months of resistance from the president and GOP leaders who pressed for other means of transparency, arguing this bill didn't do enough to protect victims' identities and could create new victims named in the files but cleared of any wrongdoing.
It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
President Trump, who in the end urged Republicans to pass the bill and said he would sign it, bristled at questions about why he doesn't just release the files now.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right.
The president has not been accused of any wrongdoing tied to Epstein's crimes, and survivors are underscoring their fight is not about politics.
What we endured was real, and it has scarred lives across 5 presidential administrations. The truth has been buried in sealed files and hidden records for far too long.
Those files set to be released by the Justice Department within 30 days of the president signing the bill into law. President Trump also asked the Justice Department to investigate prominent Democrats who've been linked to Epstein, and that's raising some concerns now because any active federal investigation could prompt the DOJ to withhold certain documents that, if released, would jeopardize those probes. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Alice, thank you. T-minus 2 days now until Local 4 helps ring in the holidays here in Metro Detroit by lighting the tree over at Campus Martius. We know it's the season of giving, and scammers can definitely take advantage of the generosity surrounding this time of year. The AARP's new Holiday and Shopping Scams report finds nearly 9 in 10 adults have experienced at least one scam. More than half received one of those fake toll payment texts, and 4 in 10 were targeted through social media ads. About 1/3 received a fraudulent charity donation request, and 3 in 10 have had a package stolen outside of their home. So to help navigate this difficult time and to make sure you're not taken advantage of we've got Kathy Stokes, the Director of Fraud Prevention Programs with the AARP Fraud Watch Network. Kathy, thank you so much for joining us. First of all, when you're talking to seniors about what's happening, sometimes they are less often to think about a scam and see one versus the younger ones, especially their kids who are like, Mom, Dad, that's a problem. Stay away from it.
Actually, that's an assumption, but it's not really borne out with what we do know about what's happening out there. And in fact, younger adults, they report losing money more often than older adults do to scams. However, it's when that older adult is the target that the amount lost, the amount stolen is so much higher because that's where the money is.
Well, I think it's a safe assumption, though, because obviously the higher the dollar value, the more it obviously impacts those. How do you talk to your family, especially your loved parents, your seniors, without offending them in situations like this?
Yeah, I really feel like it's got to be a conversation about we're in this together. If we have 90% of Americans that have experienced a type of fraud, then we're all in the same boat. And so if we talk to each other like we're working together versus Mom, don't answer the phone, Mom, don't do this, I told you not to do that, there's no context there. So when you learn about a new scam, talk about it, and that talking will help if that scam comes toward them to recognize it and avoid it.
Yeah. So what are your number one tips to not only avoid scams, but see what you can do if you do find yourself caught up in one?
Yeah, well, I think one of the bigger areas that are problematic right now is those ads on social media for really great discounts on things that people want. You just can't trust them. 1/3 of us have experienced either not getting something at all or getting something that's inferior. So we got to watch out for that. This is also a time where charitable donations are common, but the criminals are out there trying to get that money for themselves. So you want to check out the charity before you donate so that you don't lose money to a criminal, and also that charity that you want to support actually gets supported.
We also know that recouping your money is almost impossible most times. Any tips or advice, though? Is there anything we can do?
Well, treat this as a crime. If you or someone you love has experienced a fraud and money has been stolen, you need to report it. If it involves your bank or a gift card, call the bank, flip the card over, call the number on the back, see if they can freeze the funds, and definitely report it to local law enforcement. Even if they say they can't do anything about it, you want to have a record of that, because who knows, down the road there may be some means of restitution.
Right. Okay, Kathy Stokes, AARP, thank you so much for your time on this Wednesday morning.
Thank you.
Well, the WNBA is coming back to Detroit, but there are still some things that need to be ironed out. Next, it took just one step forward because of the Detroit City Council. We're going to explain how it is aimed at helping the community in terms of the project that they're hoping to help reinvigorate an area. As you look live at the slice right now, little LCA, the WNBA will be coming back in a couple of years. Welcome back, everybody. A live look at the slice right now. And in 5 years, LCA is going to have another sports team to root for as the WNBA as they come back to Detroit. And we are getting a look at the plan to turn a once contaminated site into a state-of-the-art 75,000 square foot practice facility over on the riverfront. We're talking multiple athletic fields, a youth academy, and water sports as well.
Working to support and amplify and collaborate with organizations that are currently supporting boating and rowing and activating the riverfront in that way as we work to develop the vision here to increase youth sports participation and sports sampling across kids here in Detroit. We have committed to continue to work with those groups to support and amplify the work that they're doing and to collaborate to try to increase participation in boating and rowing, in addition to basketball and volleyball and soccer and football and the rest of the activities that we're planning at the Uniroyal site.
All right, so obviously that was a presentation made to the Detroit City Council. Now, this location has been on the minds of the Pistons organization since it was announced that the WNBA was coming back to the city. Back in June, I talked to Arn Tellem about this very location. So let's talk about the future then. And I'm sure this was a big part of the presentation of what you're going to build for this next team. Not just a practice facility and a team headquarters, but really something that's going to help the community.
Right. That was the story that we told was which we're going to execute was we wanted to create a campus starting with the WNBA headquarters, but add a youth academy to it, really to link professional sports team and a youth academy together. So, because to me, the professional sports teams are there to inspire our youth. Yeah. And what better than the WNBA team to be the sort of the centerpiece to a youth academy. But our idea is to bring it, and when we talked to like Sheila Ford Hamp, I mean, she was really wanted to have flag football for the youth of Detroit. And so as we got all these ideas, and some of the philanthropic organizations that were committed to supporting this had certain ideas about what should go in there. But really, for the young people of Detroit, it's about providing equitable access to having great facilities, just like kids in the suburbs have. Yep. And we know there's a shortage of great facilities here in the city of Detroit. We need more gyms. We need places to play basketball and volleyball. We need fields to play football and soccer, and potentially track, for track athletes. So we're doing the research now, what should go in this campus, and hopefully we'll have that done in the next couple of months. We're getting a lot of input from experts. Talking to the school system, the charter schools, public schools, and the idea is that to put this all in one place. We've identified a potential site. We've talked about the site on the riverfront by the Belle Isle Bridge, the old Uniroyal site.
Oh, okay.
It's not definite, but that's the preferred site, and we're now doing the due diligence on it, hoping that that will work. It's a magnificent site, looking out and views of Belle Isle, the bridge, looking out at Canada, the water, looking downtown. Right, and there's so much good that's happened on the Riverwalk. So it would be the perfect site if this could all work. And they have the land. And
who owns that right now?
It's really within the city.
Okay.
And so we're working with the city to see if this could work, and hopefully keep our fingers crossed it will. And I think what'll be great about it is that it'll be if we can pull this off, which I'm confident we will. I hate to say everything is 100%, but there's always risk. But it'll be not only a draw, and most importantly for the young people of Detroit and future generations, well beyond my years, but I think it'll be a draw for kids all over the state and hopefully nationally to come here and play in Detroit. Yeah. And it'll be a great showcase for this city.
All right, now, former Pistons and a former Shock player are also excited about this project, wanting it to succeed. They spoke in favor of the project at that Detroit City Council meeting.
What it does is opens up jobs. It opens up, a seed planted in Detroit, and all that does is grow, making sure the youth from K to 8, where we had a lot of support from the mothers, but also from the fathers, and also from the kids coming to the game. So I'm in strong proposal to make sure that this happens.
This plan will not only give the WNBA the new facilities they need and deserve, but the thought of making it publicly accessible and a broader plan to impact youth sports make it all more special. The redevelopment plan is not only about sports, it's about equity, access, and pride. By expanding opportunities for younger students K through 8, supporting schools of all types, and enabling Detroit to host regional youth tournaments, the project will ensure that no child is left behind due to lack of infrastructure.
Now, as of right now, if everything is approved, site prep would begin in 2026, construction would be in 2027, and the WNBA team will debut in 2029. More than 300 construction jobs and dozens of permanent positions will be added. And for all of you Detroit Shock fans out there, keep your fingers crossed. While the team name is still in the works, Shock is definitely in the running. So what is next? Developers are heading back to City Council next week to keep this momentum going. We're going to be following along on that journey, and we're going to bring you all the updates as they fight and try to get the WNBA back to the city with that proper location. Well, coming up next, we're going to say thanks to Faygo and Vernors. And then Brian Sherman is tracking warmer temperatures as we get closer to that Detroit tree lighting. We'll be right back here on Local 4 Live.
Let's make this thing official by the power vested in me by the Michigan Constitution. I hereby pardon Faygo and Vernors. Congratulations.
Well, this Thanksgiving season officially underway now as Governor Whitmer officially pardons this year's turkeys. They are named Faygo and Vernors. These sister turkeys got their names from a statewide contest that pulled in 1,500 entries. They're going to spend the rest of their lives in a sanctuary, safe and sound. This pardon continues a fun tradition Governor Whitmer started in 2022. Past turkeys have been named Mitch E. Gander, Dolly Pardon, and Aiden Cluckinson. Let's check your forecast with Brian, AB.
Now, forewarned weather with Brian Sherman.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. After a little bit of winter weather on Tuesday, we're going to keep some of that cloud cover around as we go through not only the middle of the week here on Wednesday, but all the way through the rest of the week. But we're going to start to bring in above average temperatures today through the end of the week as well. And if you're wondering where's the rain in the forecast, well, it's not going to be around anytime soon. Dry weather is going to be sticking around through the rest of the week and into the upcoming weekend as well. A cold start for everybody this morning across the board, well below freezing along the north of M59. 20 showing up from Pontiac up toward Flint, as well as in Lapeer and in Port Huron. South of that, 30 showing up this morning. So while the roads may be a little bit wet as you're heading out the door early this morning, good news is not anticipating any slick spots heading out the door. But comparing this to where we were this time yesterday morning, most of the region running about 3 to 5 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. And I'm expecting that warming trend to continue as we head throughout the rest of the week as well. Clouds and radar forecast keeps that cloud cover into the forecast increasing throughout the afternoon and into the evening, despite high pressure controlling the forecast. But I'm keeping my eyes on what's happening off to the west. Our next cold front that moves in by the end of the week on Friday. There's our cold front by late Thursday night, but then the rain down to the south and a warm front heading out of Arkansas into Missouri and heading toward Tennessee. Both fronts are going to pretty much combine forces by the end of the week on Friday. And with an area of low pressure moving off to the east, that's going to keep any rain well south of Metro Detroit. But I am expecting a cool down in temperatures by the time we get to late Friday night and into Saturday. High pressure builds in to start the weekend, and we get a little bit of sunshine back by the time we get to Saturday. Dry weather sticks around through the weekend and into the start of next week. It really doesn't look like until we get to Tuesday our next chance of rain moving in the region. And as of right now, that chance of rain, it's not a large chance of rain. And we could use some rain right about now because our drought conditions still continue. The Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook taking us into Thanksgiving, November 25th through November 29th. Above average temperatures for the eastern 2/3 of the United States. So these 50s in the forecast look like they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. For today, partly cloudy early, increasing cloud cover into the afternoon. We're on the chilly side of things, heading for 44 by the time we get to late this afternoon. 50s arrive tomorrow and stick around into the end of the week. We'll go mostly cloudy for the tree lighting heading into Friday night. While we go back into the 40s on Saturday, the cool down is short-lived. 50s return by Sunday and stick around into early next week with our next chance of rain heading our way by the time we get to Tuesday.
All right, B, thank you, sir. It is the subject of a lot of controversy here in Metro Detroit. Next, we're going to break down the demand for data centers in the state and the fight that is now headed to Lansing. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli with the Local 4 News Update. Over in Wyandotte, Wilson Middle School is closed today for a suspected norovirus outbreak. Multiple students got sick during lunch yesterday, but it's not believed to be related to any food illnesses. The school is working to disinfect that building. Then there's another 90 minutes of Local 4 Live over on Local 4 Plus. We're going to do a deep dive into the controversy over data centers in Michigan and how one fight is actually heading to Lansing. Then Thanksgiving is now 8 days away, but you may notice the grocery prices are a bit higher or lower depending on where you're buying things. We're going to break down the cost of Thanksgiving and how you will be able to save on some groceries rather than others. Plus, it's real. We're going to tell the story about a 6-foot alligator inside a 6-foot aquarium inside a Detroit home after a mother buried her son and then found it afterwards. Also, Brian has a look at your forecast in just a few minutes. Keep it here on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Plenty of conversations happening in the next 90 minutes, but we are going to start this half hour with a decision that could affect power bills and land here in Michigan. We're talking about the fight for AI data centers in the state. We're going to go into a bit of a deep dive here with some important meetings and votes happening in the next couple of days. So what exactly is a data center? Well, IBM defines it as a physical room, building, or facility that houses IT infrastructure. Data centers are not new. They date back to the 1940s, originating with the U.S. military. In the 1990s, with the rise of microcomputers, servers started popping up, and the rooms housing them became data centers. Then cloud computing exploded, driving even more demand for these facilities. Google launched the first modern data center in Oregon in 2006. Now, with the boom in AI, the need for data centers is skyrocketing. Take a look at this. It's from the Data Map Center, and it shows just how many data centers are in Michigan. There are 57 here, including 27 in Detroit, 5 in Ann Arbor, and 1 in Monroe. Now, those are the centers that are already here. Take a look at this map showing the towns where data centers are proposed and include spots in Kent, Berrien, Livingston, Washtenaw, and Kalkaska counties. So why Michigan? Well, data centers thrive on a cooler climate, large availability of land, and access to plenty of water. We have all of that, but let's put it in perspective in terms of just how much water one center could use.
The scale is really increasing. The data centers that are being cited now are of this hyperscale nature, needed and driven by the need to power generative AI. So that's really driving the growth in the hyperscale size data centers. And when I say hyperscale, there's no hard and fast definition of what that is, but it can be, at minimum in the literature that I've seen, larger than 10,000 square feet, more than 5,000 servers, and using somewhere between 1 and 5 million gallons per day.
Now, for some context, here is a live look at Lake Erie, which has 127 trillion gallons of water. So if one data center used 5 million gallons of water from Lake Erie a day, it will use the entire lake in 70 years. However, several of these data centers will have a closed water system, meaning it will not be taking water from the Great Lakes. So as a result of all of that, the state is now stepping up in Michigan. The Michigan Public Service Commission will hold a public hearing December 3rd over DTE's application for approval of contracts for a massive AI data center in Saline Township. This comes after DTE tried to fast-track approval of the center and skip public hearings, leading to heated emotions at one meeting in Saline Township.
You don't protect me. You don't protect my family. I put every penny into that home, into that land. We remodeled that house. And we built our dream home so I could raise my 5 small children. And nobody's here to protect me. Nobody's here to protect us. I am angry. And maybe you can't do anything about it, but I'm angry you didn't fight harder. How dare you? How dare you? That's it.
We pretty much don't have a right, do we, to that situation down there. The people don't have a right to say no. I mean, we can say no all we want to, but there's not a damn thing we can do about it. We've all lived here, most of us all lived here all of our lives. And they're just coming in here and taking it away from us. You know what? I can't believe this. I really can't believe it.
Now, the fast-track attempt led to Attorney General Dana Nessel filing a notice of intervention with the Public Service Commission. Similar battles are actually playing out across the state, including in Howell Township. They're going to be voting tomorrow night on whether to hold a moratorium on the issue and pause the decision on building a data center on 200 acres of farmland after negative opinions from people there. Meantime, leaders trying to see the good in the centers and how it can benefit the state.
I am cautiously optimistic. The proposed project could potentially bring 2,500 union construction jobs along with 450 permanent high-paying jobs on the site. The project directors need to be prepared to speak and hear from my community and myself no matter what we have to say, because this is where we live and we have a right to talk about what goes there.
Now, DTE Energy has previously said there will not be any additional cost to customers and the service will actually be more reliable, adding it controls electricity and natural gas rates charged to the data centers, but does not have control over the location or construction of the center, including any decisions about water use. Now, if you want your voice heard, that hearing for the Saline Township Center is going to be December 3rd in Lansing. It's a virtual meeting on Teams, and you can submit written comments to the commission to get your answers. There are more than 3,000 comments already posted on that site. We're going to be following the outcome of that meeting here on Local 4 and clickondetroit.com. Well, the temps are going down, and that's hard for people trying to stay warm. Here's what Will Jones is working on for us this morning.
It's pretty cold out right now, and a man who lives in this apartment building in Highland Park says residents don't have heat, and it's been an ongoing issue. We're working to get residents some help.
Welcome back, everybody. A Highland Park man is turning to the investigators here at Local 4 for help. He says his apartment has no heat, and that's not the only issue with his unit and the building. The apartment is for veterans, located over on Glendale near 3rd Street. Investigator Will Jones is in Highland Park working to get answers.
The resident I spoke with sleeps in a jacket at night to stay warm inside of his apartment. He wanted to bring us inside to show us the conditions, but we weren't allowed inside. This apartment building is operated by a nonprofit whose mission is to help those in need.
I watched Channel 4 and I seen y'all do. I've seen y'all investigate.
McKinley Dalton reached out to Local 4 about the conditions in his Highland Park apartment building for veterans run by the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries.
Got a ton of issues, from roaches, bed bugs, no heat.
What is that like?
Especially at night, it's terrible.
He says it's been like this since he moved in 2 years ago. And if that wasn't bad enough, there's more.
Last week, the smoke detectors went off for no apparent reason, according to staff. So he removed about 6 of them off the floors, including mine. And then yesterday it was a fire.
She's pulling it in right now.
That's the director?
Yeah.
I'm Will Jones from Channel 4.
If you need any comments, you need to call 313.
That's who Mr. Dalton says he's been in contact with at his apartment building. Okay.
Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries administrative office is downtown.
And they run this building?
Detroit Rescue Mission Ministry runs this building.
I reached out to the nonprofit spokesperson. They said a fire broke out in the basement yesterday while fixing the heat, which was briefly out in part of the building, and that they would pass Mr. Dalton's concerns to leadership.
Don't nobody deserve to live like this.
We brought the issues about the heat, smoke detectors, and bugs to the nonprofit's attention. We shared portions of the emails Mr. Dalton sent to us. There was no timeline provided about when these issues will be addressed. We are going to stay on top of this and get answers for Mr. Dalton because he says he can't afford to live anyplace else. In Highland Park, Will Jones, Local 4.
All right, Will, thank you. A new program to fight domestic violence in Warren is getting some results. 4 months into Operation Cycle Break, and police say domestic violence cases are down. The program brings together police, prosecutors, and victim advocates. More than 250 cases have been handled so far. Repeat offenders are down 57%, with less than 5% of suspects reoffending.
Survivors tell us they feel safer, they feel seen, they feel supported. They describe officers who treat them with respect and compassion, professionals who restore their sense of dignity and give them the courage to move forward and seek justice.
Organizers say fewer than 2% of cases are being dismissed, which is down from 60% last year. Well, Hamtramck may have a new mayor, but the race is far from over. Adam Al-Harbi edged out Councilman Mahith Mahmood by just 6 votes, according to the Wayne County Board of Canvassers, their certified results. As Lauren Kostick reports, Mahmood is now pushing for a recount, keeping the tension high.
Just when you thought this election was over, Mahith Mahmood plans to request a recount. All of it coming to a head here at City Hall during a special meeting. 2 weeks after Election Day, Hamtramck finally has a mayor-elect.
Feeling good. It's finally over, and that's it. And now our focus is going to be on fixing our city and solving the issues that residents are facing every day.
Adam Al-Harbi declared the winner by just 6 votes over his opponent, Mahith Mahmood, according to results certified on Tuesday. But the win came with its controversies. To start, it was an extremely close race, just 11 votes initially separating the candidates. But the city held off calling it because 150 absentee ballots were rejected and needed to be fixed. Majority of those ballots were returned and counted. Then 37 ballots turned up in the clerk's office after the election, with the city placing the clerk on administrative leave while everything was sorted out. The county board decided not to count those ballots. Then you had the lawsuit from Al-Harbi challenging his opponent's eligibility. Residents at Tuesday's special city council meeting fed up.
The council members, everyone here, respect our community. We have so much going on. Our name all over the news, everywhere, about the election, about the fraud.
Our people came out and voted. That vote
and those voters done nothing wrong.
Mahith Mahmood was also there serving as councilman, telling Local 4 his team is now moving forward with a recount.
Of course, I'm going to do a recount. I'm going to request it either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow.
Al Harbi saying he welcomes the recount, confident it won't change the outcome.
I believe that we'll still be ahead in the election results, but he has the right to do that, and we'll see what happens next.
According to state law, Mahith Mahmood will have to pay for this recount. He would be reimbursed if the results are in his favor. Reporting in Hamtramck, Lauren Kostick, Local 4.
All right, on Monday, Shantae Passmore told us the story of a local woman who lost her entire life savings to scammers through a crypto ATM scam. Those scammers are targeting people nationwide. New video now showing the moment Florida police stop an 80-year-old veteran seconds before he paid scammers more money.
Chase Bank is on the telephone.
No, Chase Bank's not on the telephone. Who am I speaking with?
Who are you?
I'm the police.
If you're police, I'm Donald Trump, okay?
Yeah, let's get this man as much of his money back as we can, because he's being scammed right now.
Yeah.
And the man says a pop-up on his computer told him his money was going to be stolen. The thief said the only way to save it was to withdraw cash from the bank and put it in a Bitcoin ATM. His son saw the transactions and called police, but he already deposited nearly $58,000. Police are trying to help him recover some of it, but Bitcoin is almost impossible to trace. And like Shantae told us on Monday, these scams are growing and prey on people in many different ways, making you feel scared so you'll take action. Go to the story over on clickondetroit.com to learn how to protect yourself and your loved ones. It's 8:44. Let's take a live look at the stock futures board with the stock markets opening in 45 minutes. Futures on the rise after several days of negative numbers driven by tech pressures. Investors now getting ready for NVIDIA's earnings report, which will come out today after the bell closes the day out. Those earnings, along with the job numbers and the Fed minutes, all out tomorrow. It's going to help investors figure out how the economy is doing before the Fed meeting next month. Again, the market opens at 9:30. Well, one of the quickest turnarounds coming from Disney. A live look at Waikiki Beach in Honolulu this morning. Next, the new movie that's coming out embracing the spirit of the Pacific Islands. Welcome back, everybody. It's 8:47 here on Wednesday. A live look at Hawaii, and in less than a year, an old but new film about the islands returning to theaters. Take a look.
I am a girl who loves my island. and the girl who loves the sea. It calls me.
Well, as you just saw there, Disney releasing the first look at next year's live-action adaptation of Moana. 17-year-old Catherine Laga'ai is the new lead in the musical adventure. Dwayne Johnson returns as the demigod Maui. At nearly 10 years, this will be Disney's quickest turnaround between an animated movie and a live-action remake. The animated Moana came out in November of 2016. Moana, the live-action version, sails into theaters on July 10th, 2026. All right, let's get over to Brian for a look at your forecast, which, as you can see over at DTW, includes a kind of cloudy and brisk Wednesday. Hey, B.
Now, forewarned weather with Brian Sherman.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. After a little bit of winter weather on Tuesday, we're going to keep some of that cloud cover around as we go through not only the middle of the week here on Wednesday, but all the way through the rest of the week. But we're going to start to bring in above average temperatures today through the end of the week as well. And if you're wondering where's the rain in the forecast, well, it's not going to be around anytime soon. Dry weather is going to be sticking around through the rest of the week and into the upcoming weekend as well. A cold start for everybody this morning across the board, well below freezing along the north of M59, 20 showing up from Pontiac up toward Flint, as well as in Lapeer and in Port Huron. South of that, 30 showing up this morning. So while the roads may be a little bit wet as you're heading out the door early this morning, good news is not anticipating any slick spots heading out the door. But comparing this to where we were this time yesterday morning, most of the region running about 3 to 5 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. And I'm expecting that warming trend to continue as we head throughout the rest of the week as well. Clouds and radar forecast keeps that cloud cover into the forecast increasing throughout the afternoon and into the evening, despite high pressure controlling the forecast. But I'm keeping my eyes on what's happening off to the west. Our next cold front that moves in by the end of the week on Friday. There's our cold front by late Thursday night, but then the rain down to the south and a warm front heading out of Arkansas into Missouri and heading toward Tennessee. Both fronts are going to pretty much combine forces by the end of the week on Friday, and with an area of low pressure moving off to the east, that's going to keep any rain well south of Metro Detroit. But I am expecting cool down in temperatures by the time we get to late Friday night and into Saturday. High pressure builds in to start the weekend, and we get a little bit of sunshine back by the time we get to Saturday. Dry weather sticks around through the weekend and into the start of next week. It really doesn't look like until we get to Tuesday our next chance of rain moving in the region. And as of right now, that chance of rain, it's not a large chance of rain, and we could use some rain right about now because our drought conditions still continue. The Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook taking us into Thanksgiving, November 25th through November 29th. Above average temperatures for the eastern 2/3 of the United States. So these 50s in the forecast look like they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. For today, partly cloudy early, increasing cloud cover into the afternoon. We're on the chilly side of things, heading for 44 by the time we get to late this afternoon. 50s arrive tomorrow and stick around into the end of the week. We'll go mostly cloudy for the tree lighting heading into Friday night. While we go back into the 40s on Saturday, the cool down is short-lived. 50s return by Sunday and stick around into early next week with our next chance of rain heading our way by the time we get to Tuesday.
All right, B, thank you, sir. Lending a helping hand for those in need. Here's Bob Fernandez with what he's working on.
It's a Metro Detroit community where neighbors are helping neighbors, and here they're doing it with this pop-up food pantry, and they're doing it in that go-for-it kind of way. I'm Damon Fernandez, and I'll have that story for you coming up.
Well, they are stocking the shelves with canned goods and everyday essentials, making sure people and families have what they need to get by. But it's where this small pantry is popping up that's really bringing one community together in a special way. It's not your typical pop-up food pantry over in Hazel Park, because one neighbor's driveway has become a go-to spot for free food, a place where anybody can grab what they need to get by. Here's Savannah Bananas.
It's a quiet neighborhood in Hazel Park that's making some big noise in the form of service. And at this corner, it's service in the form of free food. Free food at this mobile pantry that just popped up. Near the corner of Myers and Caledonia in Hazel Park, Michigan.
Every day there's activity.
It's all about neighbors helping neighbors.
We stopped really talking to our neighbors. I feel that there's such a need for that.
And outside Tara Strom-Klein's garage, help is in the form of a pop-up pantry.
People want to help.
Neighbors are calling this the HP Food Pantry. Cabinets lined with canned fruits and vegetables, dried goods like beans and pasta, fresh produce from time to time. There's even some cereal to help folks get by.
Really, every day I'm out there putting new things, and I've also put a call out, when we needed donations, when it was kind of slim.
All free food. A sign says, take what you need, give what you can. Neighbors know times have been tough for many, and the HP Food Pantry is here as a bridge.
To me, it makes no sense in the world that here we are in the United States of America, and we have people who are our neighbors who are struggling. So why would we not want to help them?
Tara's a full-time school teacher and says her late husband's giving nature helped inspire this form of community service. It all started with one cabinet a few weeks ago. A neighbor found a cart and rolled it to the driveway to help stock even more items. You'll also see lyrics from that popular Youngblood song nearby as a reminder. A simple gesture can make a huge impact. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together and try to love one another right now.
If you do bring things and you feel like stocking it, feel free to do so, because someone inevitably needs the food that you're bringing.
And right now, organizers are encouraging everyone to get involved. In Hazel Park, I'm Damon Fernandez.
Damon, thank you, sir. We are working on new stories for you coming up the next hour here on Local 4 Live. A mother grieving the loss of her son makes a shocking discovery in his bedroom: a 6-foot alligator. We'll tell you all the details about that trending story, and we are talking about how much you should plan to spend if you're hosting Thanksgiving dinner this year. The answer might surprise you. And we know the Wednesday before Thanksgiving is dangerous for drunk driving, but there's another day in the next 2 weeks that may be even deadlier on the roads. More news and weather in the next hour of Local 4 Live. Stay with us here on Local 4 Plus. We are keeping an eye on some big stories nationally and here at home. As you look live at the U.S. Capitol, the bill to release the Epstein files is headed to President Trump's desk after passing with overwhelming support in both the House and the Senate. We're going to look into what happens next. And then grocery prices are up, but there's actually some good news if you're hosting Thanksgiving dinner. The cost of that meal somehow has dropped this year. What you can expect to pay and the reason why it's actually cheaper. Then a Detroit mom is making a shocking discovery in her son's bedroom, that massive alligator. We're going to talk all about that story that's trending right now and click on Detroit.com. Local 4 Live starts right now.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
And welcome back to Local 4 Live. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thanks for being here, everybody. We're going to start with a middle school in Wayne County closed after a suspected Norovirus outbreak. Students at Wilson Middle School in Wyandotte fell ill. They got sick during lunch, but officials say the food is not to blame. Shante Passmore is here with what you need to know.
Good morning. In just a few short hours, maintenance is expected to begin the disinfection process of the entire building. Again, the district doesn't believe this is related to food, but out of an abundance of caution, it did remove its turkey entree from the menu at its elementary and high schools. And norovirus, it's pretty common. It's also pretty contagious. We should have some of the symptoms right there on your screens. You can see that would include being nauseous and having some stomach pain. Now, symptoms typically appear 12 to 48 hours after exposure, and the illness usually runs its course in a few days. Some people may be contagious for as long as 2 weeks after recovery. And our latest What's Going Around segment, lots of doctors are reporting the stomach bug in Washtenaw, Monroe, and Macomb counties. There are some cases where the stomach virus is causing dehydration, especially among young school-age kids and older adults. As for Wilson Middle School, the only way to get rid of the stubborn virus is by using bleach because other household cleaners won't do. And coming up in about 30 minutes, we're going to be sharing some tips on how to keep your family safe, especially with the holidays just around the corner. In Wyandotte, I'm Shante Passmore, Local 4.
All right, Shante, thank you. A man is headed to federal court today to be formally charged in connection to a 2021 Westland bowling alley shooting. We brought you that breaking news yesterday morning when the FBI raided and searched Gregory Powell's Dearborn home. Powell was previously sentenced for attempted murder and is now facing federal charges for possessing ammunition as a felon. Authorities say they linked him to the shooting through video footage and evidence found at the scene. Powell is going to be in court at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Let's get over to Washington, where we are keeping an eye on one big question. When will the Epstein files be released? Both the House and the Senate overwhelmingly voted to pass a bill to release all records related to Epstein yesterday. The bill is now heading to President Trump's desk. As Alice Barr reports, the president says he will sign it, but it's unclear what happens after that.
Hi there. This is a moment survivors of Epstein's abuse have been waiting years to see, hoping to force into the open who else was involved in Epstein's crimes. And once the vote finally arrived in the Capitol, lawmakers rushed to show their support for long-delayed transparency. After decades of delays, a final sprint toward accountability, with the bill to force the release of the Justice Department's Epstein files headed to President Trump's desk after sailing through the House and Senate. Survivors of the notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's abuse cheering Senate passage at a candlelight vigil.
The power of being heard and being recognized and being validated is incredibly healing.
Across both chambers, only one member, a Republican, voted no after months of resistance from the president and GOP leaders who pressed for other means of transparency, arguing this bill didn't do enough to protect victims' identities and could create new victims named in the files but cleared of any wrongdoing.
It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
President Trump, who in the end urged Republicans to pass the bill and said he would sign it, bristled at questions about why he doesn't just release the files now.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right.
The president has not been accused of any wrongdoing tied to Epstein's crimes, and survivors are underscoring their fight is not about politics.
What we endured was real, and it has scarred lives across 5 presidential administrations. The truth has been buried in sealed files and hidden records for far too long.
Those files set to be released by the Justice Department within 30 days of the president signing the bill into law.
President Trump also asked the Justice Department to investigate prominent Democrats who've been linked to Epstein. And that's raising some concerns now because any active federal investigation could prompt the DOJ to withhold certain documents that, if released, would jeopardize those new probes. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
And just into our newsroom, former U.S. Treasury Secretary Larry Summers has resigned from the board of OpenAI, the ChatGPT maker. His departure coming after the release of emails showing he maintained a friendly relationship with Epstein long after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution from an underage girl. Well, the next week, Metro Airport is going to be packed with people heading home for the Thanksgiving holiday or coming here to visit friends and loved ones. We've got some news that might surprise you, though. If you're budgeting for that big Thanksgiving dinner, apparently it's going to cost you less this year. That's despite the rise in grocery prices that we've seen. Take a look at the Thanksgiving cost comparison from the Farm Bureau. It finds the average cost to feed 10 people will be $55.18. That is down $3 from the year before and $6 from 2023. Joining us now to talk about the reason for this price decrease is Teresa Sasung with the Michigan Farm Bureau. Teresa, thank you so much for joining us. I don't want to sound crass here, but I don't believe you. These prices, we're used to seeing rising grocery prices.
Yeah, part of the reason for that is a lot of our Thanksgiving staples aren't the things that have risen so much with prices. So you think of some of the things that have really high prices, that's not typically what you're eating for Thanksgiving. I mean, our turkey prices are down. We're seeing most of the prices for the foods that we eat at Thanksgiving, they're down. Some of them are down significantly. In terms of turkey is now going to account for less than 40% of the cost of your Thanksgiving meal. And that's usually a huge cost for everyone. So the decline in turkey prices has really helped overall the cost of the meal to go down.
You know, speaking of turkey prices, we know we've seen some headlines lately about avian flu, the bird flu, that is affecting some areas. Why isn't it affecting us here in Michigan as much as we thought it would?
So the turkeys we grow in Michigan aren't always, they're more going towards large food service. So we grow really large tom turkeys that get processed then and they go into like lunch meats and some of those things. So they're not necessarily the turkeys that you're going to buy in the grocery store to go for Thanksgiving. So that's part of why you're not noticing that as much with your Thanksgiving price.
Gotcha. We actually have a graphic, a full screen of all the prices I'd like to kind of pull up and try to understand with you, because there are some things, you know, you look at the 16-pound turkey you talked about, cube stuffing $3.71, 3 pounds of sweet potatoes $4, a 12-ounce bag of fresh cranberries $2.26, the frozen pie crust $3.37, pumpkin pie mix $4.16. I think what a lot of this says, kind of in between the lines, if you're reading there, is that if you're making things from scratch and buying the ingredients, you can have a relatively, I don't want to say cheap, but less expensive Thanksgiving meal versus buying a lot of pre-made things.
Yeah, if you're buying the ingredients, you can have a Thanksgiving meal for less than $6 a person. So you can feed a big group of people for a fairly reasonable amount. And in Michigan, actually, this is one of the first times we've had Michigan-specific numbers. The prices are even lower in Michigan. So the cost for the meal in Michigan is actually almost $4 even below what that national average is. So if you're willing to make the meal and not just pre-purchase a whole bunch of different prepackaged things, you can do it fairly cheaply.
Why are the Michigan prices cheaper than the national average?
Part of that's just the way the grocery store markets work. I think it's partially maybe when sales were and things, and it's just the way the grocery supply chain works here in Michigan that we are cheaper. This is one of the first years that we've had Michigan-specific numbers, so we don't know how they compare to previous years of Michigan-specific, but it is nice to see that it is lower than the national average.
Yeah. All right, so if we're trying to save a little bit of money, because everybody is right now, what are some of your tips and tricks on saving some dollars at the grocery store if you're hosting Thanksgiving?
The biggest thing is to watch for sales, especially on that turkey, because the turkey is such a big cost of the meal. And turkey prices are probably going to get cheaper between now and Thanksgiving. Typically, your grocery stores will run sales and they're willing to lose a little bit of money on turkey to get you into the store to buy all the other things you need. So watch for those markdowns on turkey, watch for sales on all the other things. You know, if you're a coupon shopper, use those. Be a part of some of the buying, you know, the apps and things that different grocery stores have. Just kind of look everywhere for what you can find for deals on stuff.
I'm surprised to hear that the grocery stores will actually put the turkeys on sale, because you'd think that demand is going to be greatest here in the next, you know, 5 or 6 days.
It is, but it's a way to get people into the store. You know, they can get you in, and if the turkey's in the back of the store, you have to walk through everything else. So you're going to be more likely to buy all the other stuff that you need as well. So part of it is just to get foot traffic into the store, is knowing that everyone's going to buy the turkeys. Let's bring them in, give them a good deal, and then get them to buy all the other stuff that they need as well.
Oh, so there's a reason that there's pumpkin pie and Ready Whip on the way to get the turkey then.
Absolutely. There's a lot of planning done in where they put things at the grocery store.
All right, Teresa, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, coming up here on Local 4 Live, we're going to talk about the other stories that are trending throughout our area, plus what is happening with the popular gaming site as they step up efforts to protect children from predators. We're going to talk about changes coming to Roblox, and a live look at the Vatican now, where Pope Leo is weighing in on ICE raids in the U.S. as we learn where federal agents may be heading to next. That's when we come back. Let's take a live look over in Raleigh, North Carolina now, where federal agents have expanded their immigration enforcement push. Since Saturday, more than 200 people were arrested in Charlotte, and federal agents started moving into Raleigh yesterday. The impact being felt across communities there.
They asked me if I was a citizen. I said, yes, I'm a citizen. You know, they asked if my father was a citizen. He does have an accent, so they pulled him to the side a little bit longer than they did I. Yeah. And, but yeah, it's unfortunate. We don't look like criminals.
The operation is drawing reaction from local and federal officials.
Regardless of Republican or Democratic city, we're going to enforce our laws across this country.
We applaud our federal law enforcement efforts in Charlotte. What we saw was, especially with Sheriff McFadden, a refusal to work with with federal law enforcement to respect the detainers. And as such, he's also been enabled by his local elected officials.
If this were targeted to going after known people who are criminals or known people who are drug traffickers who are engaged in violent crime, that would be a good thing. But they're just sweeping sidewalks, they're sweeping parking lots, they're going into stores and churches. This is causing widespread fear, widespread uncertainty. This is not about public safety, and I wish that it were.
We didn't ask for this presence. This is, concerning to many, and that folks may want to exercise their First Amendment rights or, protest or other things, and we just want people to be safe, so please be lawful.
The operations are even drawing international attention. A live look at Vatican City right now, where Pope Leo is asking for peace and not violence during these operations.
I think we have to look for ways of treating people humanely, treating people with the dignity that they have. If people are in the United States illegally, there are ways to treat that. There are courts. There's a system of justice.
As for what's next, we are taking a live look now in New Orleans, where, according to Associated Press sources, the Department of Homeland Security says a planned immigration enforcement could start as early as December 1st in New Orleans, with more than 250 border agents being set there. Well, the popular gaming platform Roblox is stepping up to protect kids with new age verifications. This comes amid lawsuits and claims the platform is putting kids at risk. Users who will want to chat with us will soon need to show a government ID or let AI scan their face to verify age. Roblox faces allegations of allowing predators to target children, and this update aims to boost safety. Now, right now, this is on a voluntary basis, but it becomes mandatory in Australia, New Zealand, and the Netherlands next month before going global next year.
And I want to highlight that this goes hand in hand with a lot of other things we do on Roblox. We filter all the text. We don't allow image sharing. We monitor everything for critical harms. So we continue really to believe we want to innovate and lead into the future of safety on the internet.
Now, our safety expert, Darnell Blackburn, has covered this many times, but we cannot say it enough. Talk to your kids about online safety. Just have a conversation with them. Also, you can set content controls, you can limit screen time, you can check their searches, and use kid-friendly sites like Kiddle, KidSearch, and Kidtopia, and encourage them to use all those. You can find our coverage in Roblox safety concerns, more of it over on our website at Click on Detroit. Well, still ahead, if you're driving to be with family this Thanksgiving, there is a day that will be more dangerous to be on the roads, but we are not talking about the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And then our forewarned weather team is tracking the temperatures for Friday night's big tree lighting at Campus Marshes. Brian has the forecast when we come back. Welcome back. Let's take a live look over New York City right now, where it's the one with the new condiment. Get it? This is just ahead of Thanksgiving. Heinz is bringing back a fan favorite with a new condiment inspired by the show Friends. Do you remember the one with Ross's sandwich? That was season 5. Well, the episode featured the iconic after Thanksgiving sandwich known as the Moist Maker, made with leftovers. Well, now Heinz is paying tribute with their limited edition leftover gravy sauce made with real turkey broth. It dropped on Tuesday, but you cannot buy it alone. It's only available online through Walmart when you purchase Heinz Homestyle turkey gravy for $1.88. The kit also includes a recipe for the ultimate Thanksgiving leftovers sandwich. And now, thanks to producer Mary, I am starving. Let's check your forecast with B. Hey, bud.
Now, forewarned weather with Brian Sherman.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. After a little bit of winter weather on Tuesday, we're going to keep some of that cloud cover around as we go through not only the middle of the week here on Wednesday, but all the way through the rest of the week. But we're going to start to bring in above average temperatures today through the end of the week as well. And if you're wondering where's the rain in the forecast, well, it's not going to be around anytime soon. Dry weather is going to be sticking around through the rest of the week and into the upcoming weekend as well. A cold start for everybody this morning across the board, well below freezing along the north of M59, 20 showing up from Pontiac up toward Flint, as well as in Lapeer and in Port Huron. South of that, 30 showing up this morning. So while the roads may be a little bit wet as you're heading out the door early this morning, good news is not anticipating any slick spots heading out the door. But comparing this to where we were this time yesterday morning, most of the region running about 3 to 5 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. And I'm expecting that warming trend to continue as we head throughout the rest of the week as well. Clouds and radar forecast keeps that cloud cover into the forecast increasing throughout the afternoon and into the evening, despite high pressure controlling the forecast. But I'm keeping my eyes on what's happening off to the west. Our next cold front that moves in by the end of the week on Friday. There's our cold front by late Thursday night, but then the rain down to the south and a warm front heading out of Arkansas into Missouri and heading toward Tennessee. Both fronts are going to pretty much combine forces by the end of the week on Friday. And with an area of low pressure moving off to the east, that's going to keep any rain well south of Metro Detroit. But I am expecting cool down in temperatures by the time we get to late Friday night and into Saturday. High pressure builds in to start the weekend, and we get a little bit of sunshine back by the time we get to Saturday. Dry weather sticks around through the weekend and into the start of next week. It really doesn't look like until we get to Tuesday our next chance of rain moving in the region. And as of right now, that chance of rain, it's not a large chance of rain. And we could use some rain right about now because our drought conditions still continue. The Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook taking us into Thanksgiving, November 25th through November 29th. Above average temperatures for the eastern 2/3 of the United States. So these 50s in the forecast look like they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. For today, partly cloudy early, increasing cloud cover into the afternoon. We're on the chilly side of things, heading for 44 by the time we get to late this afternoon. 50s arrive tomorrow and stick around into the end of the week. We'll go mostly cloudy for the tree lighting heading into Friday night. While we go back into the 40s on Saturday, the cool down is short-lived. 50s return by Sunday and stick around into early next week with our next chance of rain heading our way by the time we get to Tuesday.
All right, B, thank you, sir. Coming up next, the story that will definitely have you talking. A mother finds a 6-foot alligator in her son's Detroit bedroom. We're going to give you all the details when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Well, for good reasons, this next story is one of our top trending stories over on clickondetroit.com right now because it involves a surprising discovery inside of a Detroit home. Take a look at this. A woman says that she found this large alligator in her son's bedroom. The woman called an exotic animal rescue and said that the owner, her son, just died. She just buried him over the weekend and then went to his place and found this 6-foot alligator inside the home. The gator was brought to Animal Magic in Belleville, where it's being cared for right now. Just unbelievable. You can read more about this right now on our homepage over at clickondetroit.com. Well, if you're going to be driving out and about on this Thanksgiving holiday over on some of the expressways we have here in Metro Detroit, if you want to see somebody for Thanksgiving, there actually is a day that will be more dangerous to be on the roads. The crash rate for the Sunday after Thanksgiving is 65% higher than the previous Sunday. It's often the busiest travel day of the year when millions of Americans head home and commercial trucks and delivery drivers return to the roads. Experts say drivers can reduce their risk by leaving earlier in the day, avoiding night travel, and keeping extra space around the big trucks. Well, video games are high on the holiday wish lists of many children, but a new report is finding kids want their parents to be involved. A new report from the Entertainment Software Association finds 60% of kids are asking for something video game related. The #1 request is in-game currency, followed by a video game console. But also on the wish list is quality time, with nearly 60% of kids saying they want to play more video games with their parents.
Kids are hopeful that mom and dad will sit down next to them, pick up the controller, and turn game time into family time.
All right, I can do that. Parents buying video game gifts will spend an average of $730 this holiday season. The new Kirby game, Mario Kart, and Pokemon are expected to be the most popular. Well, still ahead, we're going to talk about an important event raising awareness about youth homelessness in Detroit. And then demolition crews heading to Belle Isle to get rid of something that has sat empty for decades.
From downtown Detroit, Local 4 Live starts right now.
Well, welcome back to Local 4 Live, everybody. I'm Nick Monticelli. Thank you so much for watching a live look over downtown Detroit right now, because happening tomorrow, an annual tradition begins to help end youth homelessness. Hundreds will sleep outside over at Covenant House, braving the cold to raise awareness and funds to fight this growing crisis. During the 2023-2024 school year, more than 35,000 students in Michigan experienced homelessness, and that number keeps rising. The event tomorrow starts at 6 o'clock in the morning over at Covenant House on Martin Luther King Boulevard. Actually, at night, I should say. The evening includes a candlelight vigil, remarks from young people who have lived through homelessness, discussions, and camp setup before participants sleep out overnight. Joining us now to talk more about the important event is Amy Oprian. She's a spokesperson for the Covenant House. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It is a very powerful event but yet so simple at the same time.
Right. I mean, this is Covenant House's big event of the year, basically, and it's so special. It's so much more than, you know, a lot of fundraisers, you just give money. Right. This is the opposite of that. This is for a night, people, hundreds of people, give up the comfort of their bed. They sleep outside, rain or shine.
Yep.
In a box. We always do it when it's likely to be very cold.
Yep.
And everyone really comes away with a really deeper understanding of like how lucky they are. And so I don't know, most of the people who do sleep out once, they come back because they're like, oh, this is a really profound thing that I want.
Eye-opening.
Yeah, it
Right.
is. And
what are some of the biggest things that people say, like their takeaways when they get up and talk to you the next morning?
I didn't realize how cold it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe people do this every night. I remember someone saying like, you know, we can hear the expressway and we're in kind of a gated like campus.
Right. Yeah, you're a little set off there.
Yeah,
right.
like we're still, even though we're doing this, we're still protected. Imagine
Yep.
people who are just out there like on the side of the street or, yeah.
Well, and that's the tough conversation too, is that while it can be an eye-opening experience, the people that are doing this often will have a coat or some blankets or something to be comfortable, right? So you take that away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you take away that sense of security, because that's kind of half the battle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just really, it's so many people's reality, and it's one of those things where it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Like we just have so many things that we take for granted. And so even for one night being like, oh, this is how people who are trying as much as they're working multiple jobs and this is their situation, it is very eye-opening.
So how does the fundraiser work then? You know, do I kind of sign up and pay to be able to sleep outside at night?
Yeah,
Which is the opposite of what you
I know.
Right. Please let me sleep in a box.
Exactly. So yes, absolutely. So it's happening, it's starting tomorrow at 6 p.m. You can still sign up to sleep out. CovenantHouseMI.org, or you can just give to the cause.
Sure.
But, you know, individuals fundraise, there's teams that fundraise, there's kind of a healthy competition going on too.
Right,
so,
right.
yeah, and they'll be taking donations through the end of the year, but this is kind of the big,
That's the big
rallying.
Push, right, yeah. You know, I've covered the event multiple times, and being out there, you get to hear from the people who've slept out. But I think also maybe just as powerful is hearing from those, especially the kids who have lived, this is their life, or was.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually part of the program tomorrow. We're going to hear, you know, we're going to hear from some elected officials. We're also going to hear from people who are previous Covenant House residents, and possibly even some current Covenant House residents. So again, it's that there's no way I could imagine what this is like. Like we need to hear from the people who are experiencing it. So yeah, in Covenant House, we specifically focus on people aged 18 to 24, which is a really crucial time because, because it's like you're set off into the world and you're like, okay, you're an adult, and like maybe you're aging out of foster care.
Yeah.
And so it's still a very challenging time if you don't have the network and the resources that most of us, you know, take for granted.
Think about how many times we're still calling mom or dad or grandma or grandpa
exactly.
for help with something.
Exactly.
Right,
yeah.
right. Okay, so again, you can still sign up. Just go to the website to do it if you'd like.
Yep.
You can also donate anytime you'd like.
Correct.
Keep doing that as well. For those who are going to be speaking, those who have experienced homelessness, what's it like for them to share their story? Because I know many of them are hesitant, don't want to talk about it.
Oh, I think that's very true. I think the people who are willing to share their stories are absolute heroes, because not everyone is. You know, I think that if you are homeless for a period of time, you know, a lot of people just want to kind of move past that.
Sure.
But the people who are willing to share their story, they're helping people who are experiencing it right now.
Right.
To have the courage, you know, to not feel ashamed or anything about the situation they're in. So I think they're heroes.
Yeah. To put things in perspective of how big of a fundraiser this is and why people should help, this kind of accounts for a good chunk of your budget throughout the entire year, doesn't it?
It does, and you know, it makes it so that Covenant House can, throughout the year, you know, we have we have shelters, we have beds that people can sleep in. We also have programs that help them get on their feet. So, you know, programs that help you find a job, like everything. So yeah, it helps us sustain the work throughout the year.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for coming in. And I'm assuming you'll be sleeping out tomorrow night?
I will.
All right, you got your box picked out. You're all good to go.
I do.
You have like a stack of boxes. You just kind of pick one, set it up, and go sleep.
Oh yeah,
right?
that's the rules. You can't have anything extra.
Can't have anything. Just
yeah.
That's right. Okay. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All morning long, all evening long, I should say. All right. If you are going to overindulge this holiday season, Dr. McGee is here with the warning signs that you may need to see a doctor when we come back. (9:39) here on Wednesday morning. The NTSB is warning many bridges across the country could be in danger, and they want new safety rules now. The agency released 17 recommendations after the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse. They want ship operators using thermal images to catch issue, and they want bridge owners adding warning systems for drivers. The NTSB says many major bridges still have not been checked for this kind of risk. Well, here at home, let's take a live look at Belle Isle now, where demolition crews are actually tearing down what's left of the old zoo after more than 20 years of sitting empty. The DNR says part of the west side will become new parking and reconnect Vista Avenue, but most of the land will go back to natural habitat. The plan moves forward after public surveys show people want more trails and better access to the canals. Well, Michigan's universal preschool program already hitting a huge milestone just in the first year. As of October, Michigan's pre-K for all program enrolled 51,000 kids across the state. That's up 13% since January. The program provides quality preschool for any 4-year-old in Michigan at no cost to families, including meals, learning support, and in some cases, transportation. Education leaders only want the program to grow. Their next goal is getting 59,000 kids enrolled. Well, we are just over a week now from Thanksgiving, which means indulging in our favorite holiday foods. For me, it's pumpkin pie. There's nothing wrong with enjoying those foods, but eating too much rich, salty, and fatty food sends some people to the hospital. Our Dr. McGee is here to explain the warning signs to watch out for.
Now, to be clear, I am not one to spoil the holidays by droning on and on about how many calories are in your pumpkin pie. Our special holiday foods are meant to be enjoyed, but each year, starting around this time, emergency rooms do see a spike in people coming in with chest pain, severe indigestion, and even an irregular heartbeat after eating a large meal. It's actually so common, there's a name for it: holiday heart syndrome. Turkey, pie, stuffing, and all those delicious sides. It's so easy to overeat, but for some, holiday indulging can turn into a medical emergency. So what's going on? Well, large amounts of salt, fat, and alcohol can stress the heart, raising blood pressure and triggering symptoms that can mimic or actually become a cardiac event. A salty meal can cause fluid retention, making the heart work harder. If someone already has high blood pressure or heart disease, that can push them over the edge. We also see patients with gallbladder attacks, pancreatitis, and severe acid reflux, all linked to rich holiday foods that people don't typically eat the rest of the year. If you have any of these conditions or you've been told to limit salt in your diet, it's wise to pay attention to what you're putting on your plate. Be sure to drink water, take breaks between servings, and balance salty or fatty dishes with vegetables or lighter sides. If you feel chest pressure, shortness of breath, or pain that doesn't go away, don't wait. Go get checked out. Now, if you have diet restrictions, it's also a good idea to talk to your doctor about the holidays and how to best navigate the challenges. Some people, they can eat certain foods in moderation. Others really do need to stick to their regular way of eating so they can spend the holiday with their loved ones, not in the ER. Back to you.
All right, Doc, thank you so much. You can also try walking off your Thanksgiving meal. Health experts say it doesn't have to be intense. A short walk for 10 to 15 minutes can actually go a long way. An MSU film professor back in the national spotlight. How much he won on Jeopardy last time in the high-stakes tournament he is heading into next. Plus your 4-1 forecast when we come back. Let's take a live look over at Michigan State University here, and soon a professor gets a second shot at Jeopardy. Pete Johnston, an Alma native and film studies professor, first appeared on the show in July, winning over $28,000. Now he's back competing in the Second Chance tournament starting on December 15th. And I know so many of you absolutely love Jeopardy. You would not miss a single episode. But if you didn't know, you can watch Jeopardy on Local 4 weeknights at 7:30. Well, sticking with Michigan State, a former Spartan is now a banana baller. Hudsonville grad and former MSU outfielder JT Sokolov just signed with the Savannah Bananas for the 2026 season as a designated runner. He finished his senior year at MSU with a .224 batting average and 15 stolen bases. Back in Hudsonville, he set school records for hits, runs, and stolen bases, a true baseball star. The Bananas kick off their fourth season of Banana Ball on February 28th in Tallahassee with several Midwest stops, including a big show at Detroit's Comerica Park on September 18th and the 19th. Of course, I can't tell you what the weather is going to be like in September of next year, but B can tell you what the weather is going to be like for the Detroit tree lighting ceremony happening on Friday. Hey, B.
Now, forewarned weather with Brian Sherman.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. After a little bit of winter weather on Tuesday, we're going to keep some of that cloud cover around as we go through not only the middle of the week here on Wednesday, but all the way through the rest of the week. But we're going to start to bring in above average temperatures today through the end of the week as well. And if you're wondering where's the rain in the forecast, well, it's not going to be around anytime soon. Dry weather is going to be sticking around through the rest of the week and into the upcoming weekend as well. A cold start for everybody this morning across the board, well below freezing along the north of M59, 20 showing up from Pontiac up toward Flint, as well as in Lapeer and in Port Huron. South of that, 30 showing up this morning. So while the roads may be a little bit wet as you're heading out the door early this morning, good news is not anticipating any slick spots heading out the door. But comparing this to where we were this time yesterday morning, most of the region running about 3 to 5 degrees warmer than we were yesterday. And I'm expecting that warming trend to continue as we head throughout the rest of the week as well. Clouds and radar forecast keeps that cloud cover into the forecast increasing throughout the afternoon and into the evening, despite high pressure controlling the forecast. But I'm keeping my eyes on what's happening off to the west. Our next cold front that moves in by the end of the week on Friday. There's our cold front by late Thursday night, but then the rain down to the south and a warm front heading out of Arkansas into Missouri and heading toward Tennessee. Both fronts are going to pretty much combine forces by the end of the week on Friday. And with an area of low pressure moving off to the east, that's going to keep any rain well south of Metro Detroit. But I am expecting a cool down in temperatures by the time we get to late Friday night and into Saturday. High pressure builds in to start the weekend, and we get a little bit of sunshine back by the time we get to Saturday. Dry weather sticks around through the weekend and into the start of next week. It really doesn't look like until we get to Tuesday our next chance of rain moving in the region. And as of right now, that chance of rain, it's not a large chance of rain, and we could use some rain right about now because our drought conditions still continue. The Climate Prediction Center 6 to 10 day temperature outlook taking us into Thanksgiving, November 25th through November 29th. Above average temperatures for the eastern 2/3 of the United States. So these 50s in the forecast look like they're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. For today, partly cloudy early, increasing cloud cover into the afternoon. We're on the chilly side of things, heading for 44 by the time we get to late this afternoon. 50s arrive tomorrow and stick around into the end of the week. We'll go mostly cloudy for the tree lighting heading into Friday night. While we go back into the 40s on Saturday, the cool down is short-lived. 50s return by Sunday and stick around into early next week with our next chance of rain heading our way by the time we get to Tuesday.
All right, B, thank you, sir. The countdown is on for America's Thanksgiving Parade, and this year there's going to be an addition to the Gardner White Float with some Lion's Pride. We're going to take you inside the parade company for a first look you won't see anywhere else.
Semifinal Saturday will be here in just a few days for high school football in Michigan. Joining us for our Local 4 state champs power poll, our top 5 matchups. Lauren Plant in studio, and plenty of good games to get to this week again.
Absolutely. In the Final Four, be the hammer, not the nail.
Let's take a look at our first matchup in Division 1. East Kentwood against Detroit Catholic Central. Shamrocks were in this same spot last year and got eliminated. They have to be motivated going into this one.
Absolutely. Falcons stunned Hudsonville with 52 points. Catholic Central rolled Clarkston 42-13. We'll have high-octane EK offense versus the most complete and disciplined D1 team left.
Maybe the biggest upset last week. That was in Division 4, and that's when Harper Woods went out because they lost to Divine Child, who had a phenomenal game. Now they have another big challenge, an undefeated team in Goodrich.
So Goodrich has won 24 straight, reached 4 straight semis, survived a 41-33 shootout win, but Divine Child, the talk of the week, upsets Harper Woods 10-6 with a defensive masterpiece in an emotional relocated playoff game. So now it's Goodrich's machine-like consistency meets DC's sudden upset potential.
Our next matchup in Division 5, Monroe Jefferson has looked impressive in these playoffs. Notre Dame Prep started off the season 1-2, but here they are in the semifinals.
And Jefferson 1-8 a year ago, now in their first state semifinals since 1999. They dropped 71 points on Michigan Center. Notre Dame Prep eliminated Frankenmuth behind 219 passing yards and 3 TDs from their quarterback, Samuel Stowe. So we've got a Cinderella run versus a proven powerhouse.
2 games left. Let's go to Division 2, and that's where Birmingham Groves went on the road, got a win last week to get back in the semifinals for the second straight year. Dexter, though, a very strong second half to beat Carlson to end up in this spot.
You know, Groves have really dominated this playoff season and had really huge wins, including a strong regional victory over Lakeview on the weekend. But Dexter dropped 56 on unbeaten Carlson. They've scored over 550 points this season.
And in Division 1, a heavyweight bout. Cass Tech has not lost a game since September of last year. Now they get an Adams team that always is strong come playoff time. Should be a great one on Saturday.
Well, stars show out, and CJ Sadler for Cass Tech is that guy. The Mr. Football candidate, just coming off 3 receiving TDs, doing everything. Adams, its second straight regional title by shutting down Romeo 29-13. That was impressive. This sets up Cass's explosive star power versus Adams' playoff-tested toughness.
Get a win and you're on to Ford Field, and we will have you covered on Local 4 and, of course, over on State Champs.
Check it out.
Well, we are another day closer to America's Thanksgiving Day Parade presented by Gardner White. And if you are watching or going to the parade, you might see Gardner White's enhanced float inspired by the Lions. I took a trip to the parade company with Gardner White for an exclusive look. Just one look at the newest section of Gardner White's float, and that Honolulu blue makes it quite obvious what it's all about.
We did our promotion, our favorite promotion earlier this year with free furniture when our Lions win the Super Bowl. So we very much hope to make good on that commitment. So yes, like everyone in the city of Detroit, we are all in on the Lions.
You gonna have Jared Goff up there tossing a football?
Well, Jared, if you're watching, I'm available if you are.
The rest of the float remains a living room with people watching the Lions win and nods to Detroit innovation, all the things that started in Detroit.
There's things you'll see like techno, you knew that, Coney Dog probably knew that, but there's a bunch you didn't know, like first tricolor streetlight, first urban paved highway, Davidson, first Van Gogh in a museum, DIA, so there's a lot more, you know, and I want to scream about how great this city is.
So look for the newest edition on Thanksgiving morning, along with all the people that make the parade what it is.
When you see 1 million people lining the streets, like, that's cool. I mean, you get, you know, even the cynics among us get chills, and it's real and authentic.
And of course, you can watch that float cruise down Woodward on Thanksgiving morning during that parade. Local 4 exclusive home for the parade. Our coverage begins at 6 o'clock in the morning on Thanksgiving morning. You know who's not going to be there on Thanksgiving morning? Kim DeJulia.
Well, that's not true.
I'm going to be there. I'm just not going to be working.
You spent many mornings out there, didn't you?
A decade.
She was Miss Turkey Trot.
I was. And last year was on my birthday, actually.
Was it really?
Wow. Yeah.
2 for 1.
Two packages for one workday? Is that what you're insinuating?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All right, Live in the D happens in an hour and 4 minutes. What do we got today now that you're back in studio?
We're back in studio. I just want to say that our Gleaners live show was phenomenal. Kim and I learned so much.
Oh my
goodness. We were so touched.
It was amazing. And we were right there in where everybody was packing the food, all volunteers, I might add. They were incredible. But the biggest thank you we want to say really is to our viewers who donated yesterday for the Match for Meals Day, which meant that their dollar was doubled.
So instead of $1 providing 3 meals, that same dollar provided 6.
That's so good.
We were at the distribution center in Taylor, and even the stories that we had to do for it, we were just like on the brink of tears throughout the whole show.
Yes.
So it was amazing. But today is another amazing day.
Yes.
We're going to get a preview of the ice rink at Campus Martius. April will be out there.
April's like so courageous.
She is. She's the adventurer.
Yes. So she's going to be ice skating today. Stay tuned for that. And then
Is this happening live?
Oh yeah, it's live in the D, baby. We do it live.
Do you want to see what happens when you put April on ice skates?
She knows how to roller skate, so she might be doing pirouettes.
No, it's very different because I can ice skate, but I cannot roller skate, and I can roller blade, but I cannot roller skate.
All right, what else on the show? We got 10 seconds left.
Couch Club, I'm excited for this. We're talking about side hustles. Do you have a side hustle? Yeah, you do. You do have a lot of side hustles. So we're talking about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I want to know what people have to say out there.
Live the D starts at 11 o'clock. Make it a great, where's my camera? Where is it? Oh,
right there.
This one? There it is.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh.
Make it a great Wednesday, everybody.
So many cameras.
Bye.